The night before Thanksgiving, my father stood in the doorway of the house I grew up in and told me to leave. Not because I'd done anything wrong, not because we'd fought, but because my sister, his favorite, had driven home from college and decided my presence would ruin the holiday. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just looked at him, nodded once, and said I'd be gone within the hour. What none of them knew was that I'd been saving one piece of news for Thanksgiving dinner, the kind that changes everything. But I never got the chance to say it, and when they found out the next day, my phone exploded with 107 missed calls. I'm Maya. I'm 32, and I'm a software engineer who just sold her AI logistics startup for $50 million. I should probably start by saying that I wasn't always the disposable daughter. When I was younger, maybe 8 or 9, my father used to take me to his office on Saturdays. He worked in commercial real estate, and while he made his calls, I'd sit at the conference table with a stack of graph paper, sketching floor plans and trying to calculate square footage. He'd look over my shoulder, ruffle my hair, and say, "You've got a good head for numbers, Maya. Don't waste it." I didn't. I went to MIT, graduated with a double major in computer science and applied mathematics, landed a job at a mid-tier tech company in Seattle, spent 3 years building predictive models for supply chain optimization, and then did what every ambitious engineer does when they see a gap in the market. I left and started my own company. It wasn't glamorous at first. I worked out of a co-working space that smelled like burnt coffee and ambition. I pitched to 47 investors before one said yes. I ate ramen for 18 months straight, not because I couldn't afford better, but because I didn't have time to cook anything else. But it worked. Within 2 years, my platform was being used by mid-sized logistics companies across the West Coast. Within 4, I had contracts with 2 Fortune 500s. And 6 months ago, a private equity firm approached me with an offer I couldn't refuse. $50 million. I signed the papers in October. The money hit my account 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. I didn't tell anyone. Not my friends. Not my ex-boyfriend, who I'd broken up with a year earlier because he couldn't handle the fact that I made more than him. And definitely not my family. Because here's the thing about my family. They don't celebrate success unless it's my sister's. Her name is Brooke. She's 24, a senior at UC Berkeley, studying something vague like media studies or communications. She's beautiful in that effortless way that makes people assume she's kind. Long blonde hair, perfect teeth, the kind of girl who could walk into a room and make everyone stop talking. My father adores her. My mother adores her. Even my aunts and uncles and cousins adore her, because Brooke has this way of making people feel like they're the most important person in the world when she's talking to them. I, on the other hand, have always been the serious one, the quiet one. The one who gets a polite nod at family gatherings before the conversation shifts back to Brooke's latest adventure, her semester abroad in Barcelona, her internship at a boutique PR firm, her new boyfriend who's so charming. I stopped trying to compete for their attention around the time I turned 16. Instead, I focused on what I could control, my grades, my career, my future, and it paid off. But none of them knew that yet. I'd been planning to tell them at Thanksgiving dinner. I had this whole vision in my head, sitting around the table, waiting for the right moment, and then casually dropping the news. Not in a boastful way, just factual. By the way, I sold my company. We're doing pretty well. I imagined my father's face, the surprise, maybe even pride. I thought it might change things between us. I was wrong. I flew into San Francisco the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. My parents live in Palo Alto, in the same 4-bedroom house they bought in the 90s when my dad's career took off. It's a nice house, hardwood floors, vaulted ceilings, a backyard with a stone patio where we used to have barbecues when I was a kid. I took an Uber from the airport. My mother answered the door. "Maya." She hugged me, but it was the kind of hug you give someone you're obligated to be nice to. "You're early. I wasn't expecting you until tomorrow." "Thought I'd come help with the cooking," I said, stepping inside. She waved a hand. Oh, don't worry about it. Your father hired a caterer this year. Brooke suggested it. She said it would be less stressful. Of course she did. I set my suitcase down in the hallway. Where's Dad? In his office. He's on a call. I nodded. And Brooke? She'll be here tomorrow. She's driving up with some friends. I spent the rest of that evening unpacking in my old bedroom, which my mother had turned into a guest room at some point in the last 5 years. The walls were painted beige. The posters I'd hung in high school were gone. There was a generic landscape print above the bed and a basket of sample-sized toiletries on the dresser, like I was staying at a mid-range hotel. I didn't say anything. At dinner, my father barely looked at me. He talked about a deal he was closing, some commercial property downtown that was going to be a gold mine. My mother nodded along, asked the right questions, refilled his wine glass. I ate my pasta in silence. The next morning, Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, I woke up early and went for a run. When I got back, my mother was in the kitchen, going over the menu with the catering company on the phone. Maya, can you set the table? She asked, barely glancing up. I did. I pulled out the good china, the stuff we only used for holidays. I folded the cloth napkins into neat triangles. I arranged the silverware with the precision of someone who'd been doing this since childhood. And then, around 2 in the afternoon, Brooke arrived. I heard her before I saw her, laughing in the driveway, her voice bright and high and carrying through the open window. My mother practically sprinted to the front door. Brooke, oh sweetheart, you look amazing. I stayed in the dining room, adjusting a centerpiece that didn't need adjusting. Brooke came inside, arms full of shopping bags, her hair pulled into a messy bun that somehow looked intentional. She hugged my mother, kissed my father on the cheek, and then finally noticed me standing by the table. Oh, hey Maya. Hey. She dropped her bags on the couch. God, I'm exhausted. The drive was awful. Traffic was insane. My father appeared behind her, already smiling in a way he never smiled at me. You need anything, sweetheart? Water? A snack? I'm fine, Dad. Thanks. She glanced around the house, then looked at me again. Wait, you're staying here? I blinked. Yeah, I flew in yesterday. She frowned. I thought you were staying at a hotel. Why would I stay at a hotel? Because, she looked at my parents. I mean, I'm here now, and I kind of wanted to spend time with Mom and Dad without, you know. I stared at her. Without what? She sighed, like I was being difficult. Without it being weird, Maya. You always make things weird. My mother stepped in, her voice gentle but firm. Brooke, that's not fair. I'm just saying. Brooke crossed her arms. Last Thanksgiving, she barely talked to anyone. She just sat there on her laptop the whole time. It was awkward. I was working, I said quietly. Exactly. Brooke looked at my father. Dad, I don't want her here tomorrow. She's going to ruin everything. There was a beat of silence. My father looked at me, then at Brooke, then back at me. And then he said, Maya, maybe it's better if you spend Thanksgiving somewhere else this year. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You're serious? It's just, Brooke doesn't get to come home very often, and if she's uncomfortable because I'm here, I said flatly. That's not what I'm saying. That's exactly what you're saying. My mother touched my arm. Maya, please, let's not make this a big thing. I pulled my arm away. I'm not making it a big thing. I'm being told to leave because Brooke doesn't want me here. Brooke sighed dramatically. God, see? This is what I mean. You always have to make everything about you. I looked at my father, waited for him to say something, anything. He didn't. I nodded slowly. Okay. My mother blinked. Okay? Yeah, okay. I turned and walked toward the stairs. I'll pack my stuff and be out within the hour. Maya, wait. I didn't wait. I went upstairs, threw my clothes into my suitcase, and zipped it shut. I didn't cry. I didn't break anything. I didn't even slam the door. I just left. I called an Uber. Waited on the curb with my suitcase. My mother came outside, arms wrapped around herself like she was cold. "You don't have to do this," she said. "Yeah," I said. "I do." "Where are you going?" "Hotel." "Maya, I'll see you guys later, or not, whatever." The Uber pulled up. I got in. I didn't look back. I checked into a Marriott downtown, ordered room service, sat on the edge of the bed and stared at my phone. I thought about calling someone. A friend, a colleague, anyone. But I didn't. Instead, I opened my banking app and stared at the number at the top of the screen. $50 million. I laughed. It was a short, bitter sound. And then I made a decision. I wasn't going to tell them. Not now, maybe not ever. But I was going to make sure they found out. The next morning, Thanksgiving Day, I woke up at 9. I ordered coffee. I sat by the window and watched the city move below me. Around noon, I got a text from my mother. "Happy Thanksgiving, sweetheart. We miss you." I didn't respond. At 1, my phone rang. My father. I let it go to voicemail. At 2, it rang again. My mother this time. Voicemail. By 3, I had 7 missed calls. I ignored all of them. And then, around 4 in the afternoon, something interesting happened. My phone buzzed with a notification. It was a Google alert I'd set up months ago. Anytime my company's name appeared in the news, I got a ping. I opened it. The headline read, "AI logistics startup acquired in $50 deal. Founder Maya Reyes poised to disrupt industry." My stomach dropped. I hadn't authorized a press release. I'd specifically asked the PE firm to keep it quiet until after the holidays. But apparently someone had leaked it, and now it was everywhere. TechCrunch, Forbes, Bloomberg. I sat there staring at my phone, and then I started laughing. Because I knew exactly what was about to happen. And sure enough, within 10 minutes, my phone exploded. Texts, calls, voicemails, my mother, my father, Brooke, aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. I counted them later. 107 missed calls. I didn't answer a single one. Instead, I ordered a bottle of wine from room service, poured myself a glass, and opened my laptop. If they wanted to talk to me now, they were going to have to work for it. And I was going to make sure they understood exactly what they'd thrown away. I woke up Friday morning to 23 new voicemails. I didn't listen to any of them. Instead, I went down to the hotel gym, ran 5 miles on the treadmill, and came back to my room to find my phone vibrating so aggressively it had moved 3 inches across the nightstand. My father. Again. I stared at his name on the screen until the call went to voicemail, then watched as a new notification appeared. Voicemail number 24. I took a shower, ordered breakfast, sat by the window with my coffee, and finally, opened my voicemail. The first one was from my mother, time-stamped 4:47 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. "Maya, honey, please call us back. We just saw the news. Why didn't you tell us? We're so proud of you. Please just call us when you get this." I deleted it. The second was from my father, 5:02 p.m. "Maya, it's Dad. Listen, I saw the article. $50 million, that's incredible. I knew you had something big going on. I didn't realize it was this big. Call me back. We need to talk." Deleted. The third was from Brooke, 5:15 p.m. Her voice was different than usual, higher, strained. "Maya, oh my God, I just heard. Why didn't you say anything? This is amazing. Seriously, we need to celebrate. Call me back, okay? I'm sorry about yesterday. I was just stressed from the drive. You know how I get. Love you." I almost laughed. I deleted that one too. I scrolled through the rest. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't spoken to since high school. even my father's business partner, a man I'd met exactly twice in my entire life. All of them wanted to talk. All of them were so proud. All of them had the same underlying tone, surprise that I, of all people, had done something worth noticing. I deleted every single message without finishing most of them. Then I opened my text messages. My mother had sent 14 texts between Thursday night and Friday morning. They started out casual. "Sweetheart, call us," and gradually became more frantic. "Maya, please, we're worried about you." My father's texts were shorter, more direct. "We need to talk about your company. Call me as soon as you can. This is important, Maya." Brooke's messages were the most interesting. The first one sent at 5:20 p.m. Thursday. "OMG, Maya. Why didn't you tell us? I'm freaking out. Call me." The second, sent 2 hours later. "Seriously, call me back. I feel terrible about yesterday. I didn't know you were dealing with all this. We should talk." The third, sent Friday morning at 8:04 a.m. "Maya, come on, don't be like this. I said I was sorry, just call me." I put my phone face down on the table and finished my coffee. I wasn't angry. That's the thing people don't understand about moments like this. Everyone expects rage, screaming, crying, some big confrontation where you tell people exactly how much they hurt you. But I wasn't angry. I was calm. Calmer than I'd been in years. Because for the first time in my entire life, I had something they wanted, and I wasn't going to give it to them. I spent Friday working from my hotel room. I had emails to answer, calls to return, actual important calls, from lawyers and advisors and members of my team who wanted to discuss the transition plan now that the acquisition was public. Around 2 in the afternoon, my phone rang again. This time, it was a number I didn't recognize. Local area code. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello? Maya Reyes?" Speaking. "Hi, this is Jennifer Caldwell from the San Francisco Chronicle. I'm writing a feature on young entrepreneurs in the Bay Area, and I'd love to talk to you about your recent acquisition. Do you have a few minutes?" I hesitated. Then I smiled. "Sure, I have time." We talked for 30 minutes. She asked about the company, the technology, the acquisition process. I kept my answers professional, focused on the work rather than the money. But then she asked, "What does your family think about all this?" I paused. "They're supportive," I said carefully. "Were they surprised?" "Very." "Did they know you were building something this big?" I could have lied. I could have given her the polite, media-trained answer. Instead, I said, "No, they didn't. I don't think they ever really paid attention to what I was doing." There was a beat of silence on her end. That must have been difficult. "It was clarifying," I said. She asked a few more questions and then we hung up. I didn't think much of it. But later that evening, she emailed me a draft of the article. The headline read, "The founder they didn't see coming. How Maya Reyes built a $50 million company while her family looked the other way." I read it twice. It was good, fair, honest. And it made my family look exactly as dismissive as they were. I approved it. The article went live Saturday morning. By Saturday afternoon, my phone was ringing again. This time I answered. "Maya, what the hell is this?" My father's voice was tight, controlled. The way it got when he was trying very hard not to yell. "Hi, Dad." "Don't hi, Dad me. I just read the article in the Chronicle. You told a reporter that we didn't support you?" I told a reporter the truth. "That's not the truth. We've always supported you." "Have you?" "Yes. Jesus, Maya, where is this coming from? We're proud of you. We've always been proud of you." I leaned back in my hotel chair. "Then why did you kick me out 2 days ago?" Silence. "That was different." "How?" Brooke was upset. I was trying to keep the peace. "By choosing her over me." "That's not..." He stopped. took a breath. Look, I'm sorry if you felt like we weren't paying attention, but you have to understand. You never told us what you were working on. You never asked for help. How are we supposed to know? I shouldn't have to ask you to care, Dad. Another silence. I want you to retract that article, he said finally. I almost laughed. I can't retract it. I didn't write it. Then call the reporter. Tell her you were misquoted. I wasn't misquoted. Maya. His voice hardened. This makes our family look bad. No, I said quietly. It makes you look bad. There's a difference. Don't do this. Don't air our private business in the press. Why not? You didn't seem to care about my private business when you told me to leave. That's not fair. Isn't it? He sighed. What do you want from me, Maya? It was a good question. What did I want? An apology. An admission that they'd treated me like an afterthought my entire life? I realized, sitting there in that hotel room, that I didn't want anything from him. Not anymore. I don't want anything, Dad. I just want you to leave me alone. Maya! I hung up. My hands were shaking, not from anger, from adrenaline. I'd never hung up on him before. It felt good. Saturday evening, my mother showed up at my hotel. I don't know how she found out where I was staying. Maybe she called every Marriott in the city. Maybe she used Find My Friends. I'd forgotten we were still connected on that app. Either way, the front desk called my room around 7. Ms. Reyes, you have a visitor in the lobby. I already knew who it was. I went downstairs. My mother was sitting in one of the leather chairs near the entrance, her purse on her lap, her hands folded over it. She looked smaller than usual, tired. She stood when she saw me. Maya, Mom, can we talk? I glanced around the lobby, a few business travelers, a family checking in. Here? There's a bar. She gestured toward the hotel restaurant. Please. I followed her. We sat in a corner booth. She ordered a glass of white wine. I ordered water. For a long moment, neither of us said anything. Finally, she spoke. I'm sorry. I looked at her. I'm sorry about Wednesday. You shouldn't have been asked to leave. That wasn't fair. No, I said. It wasn't. Your father was just trying to avoid conflict. You know how Brooke gets when she's stressed. And what about how I get when I'm dismissed? She flinched. That's not what we were doing. That's exactly what you were doing, Mom. You've been doing it my whole life. That's not true. Isn't it? I leaned forward. When was the last time you asked me about my work, my company, anything I was doing? She opened her mouth, closed it. You can't remember, I said. That's not fair, Maya. You're always so busy. You never want to talk about... Because every time I try, the conversation gets redirected to Brooke. Her classes, her internships, her boyfriend, her life. She's younger. She needs more guidance. She's 24, Mom. She's not a child. My mother's eyes filled with tears. I don't understand why you're so angry. I'm not angry, I said, and I meant it. I'm done. Done with what? Done trying to earn your attention. Done pretending it doesn't hurt when you choose her over me every single time. Done waiting for you to notice that I exist. Maya, that's not... I sold my company for $50 million, I said quietly. And you didn't even know I had the company. She stared at me. I told you about it 3 years ago, at Christmas. You said, "That's nice, sweetheart," and then asked Brooke about her sorority. I don't remember that. I know. She reached across the table, tried to take my hand. I pulled it back. I'm sorry, she said again, and this time her voice broke. I'm so sorry, Maya. I didn't realize. That's the problem, Mom. You didn't realize, and you should have. I stood up. Wait, please. Don't leave like this. I'm not leaving. I'm just done with this conversation. Maya, go home, Mom. Spend time with Brooke. I'm sure she's waiting for you. I walked back to the elevator and didn't look back. Sunday morning, I woke up to a text from Brooke. "Can we please talk? I'm outside your hotel." I looked out the window. Sure enough, there she was, standing on the sidewalk in yoga pants and an oversized sweater, her arms crossed against the cold. I could have ignored her, but I didn't. I got dressed and went downstairs. She saw me coming through the glass doors and straightened. "Hey. Hey." We stood there for a moment, neither of us quite sure what to do. "There's a coffee shop around the corner," she said finally. "Can we go there?" I nodded. We walked in silence. The coffee shop was one of those trendy places with exposed brick and reclaimed wood furniture. We ordered black coffee for me, some complicated latte for her, and sat by the window. "I'm sorry," she said immediately. "About Wednesday. I was a bitch." "Yeah, you were." She winced. "I didn't mean it. I was just stressed and tired. And you took it out on me." "Yeah. Like you always do." She looked down at her cup. "That's not fair. Brooke, you literally told Dad that I would ruin Thanksgiving, and he believed you. Do you understand how that felt?" "I know. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking." "You never think," I said. "You just say whatever you want, and everyone else has to deal with the consequences." "That's not true." "Isn't it? You show up, you complain, you make demands, and Mom and Dad fall all over themselves to make you happy. And I'm just there, in the background, unless I'm useful." Her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know you felt that way." "How could you? You never asked." "Because you never talk to me, Maya. You're always working. You're always busy. You act like you don't need anyone." "I don't need people who only want me around when it's convenient for them." She wiped her eyes. "I didn't know about your company. I swear, I didn't. If I'd known, would it have mattered?" She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything I needed to know. "I'm happy for you," she said finally. "I really am. $50 million. That's insane. You must have worked so hard." "I did. And I'm sorry I wasn't there for you." I studied her face. She looked sincere, genuinely upset, but I also knew my sister. "What do you want, Brooke?" "What? Why are you here? Really?" She blinked. "I just wanted to apologize." "Okay, you apologized. Is there anything else?" She bit her lip. "I mean, I was kind of hoping we could talk. About everything. I feel like we never talk anymore." "We don't. Because you're always mad at me." "I'm not mad at you, Brooke. I'm indifferent." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "That's worse," she said quietly. "Yeah," I said. "It is." She stared at me for a long moment, then she stood up, grabbing her purse. "Fine, if that's how you feel, then I guess there's nothing else to say." "I guess not." She walked toward the door, then stopped and turned back. "You know what, Maya? You act like you're so much better than all of us, like you're the only one who works hard or has problems, but you're not. You're just bitter." "Maybe," I said, "but at least I'm honest about it." She left. I finished my coffee alone. By Monday, the media attention had intensified. The Chronicle article had been picked up by several other outlets. I did 2 more interviews, one with a podcast, one with a business magazine. Each time I kept my answers professional, but I didn't hide the truth about my family either. I didn't trash them. I didn't have to. I just told the story, and people filled in the gaps. On Tuesday, I got a call from my father's business partner, Richard. "Maya, it's Richard Chen. We met a few years ago at your parents' anniversary party." "I remember." "Listen, I don't want to overstep, but your father asked me to reach out. He's concerned about the media coverage." "Concerned how?" "He thinks it's damaging his reputation. Some of his clients have seen the articles. They're asking questions." "What kind of questions?" About his family, his values, whether he's someone they want to do business with. I smiled. That's unfortunate. Maya, I know you're upset with him, but this could seriously hurt his career. He should have thought about that before he kicked me out of his house. He made a mistake. He knows that. But this public feud? I'm not feuding with anyone, Richard. I'm just telling the truth. The truth is subjective. No, I said. It's not. He sighed. What would it take for you to stop talking to the press? I laughed. Are you seriously asking me to be quiet so my father doesn't look bad? I'm asking you to consider the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that I spent 32 years trying to earn my father's respect. And the moment I achieved something worth respecting, he wasn't even paying attention. So no, Richard, I'm not going to stop telling my story just to protect his reputation. Maya, have a good day, Richard. I hung up. And then I did something I'd been putting off. I called my lawyer. Her name was Patricia Nguyen, and she'd been my corporate attorney since I started the company. She was sharp, ruthless, and exactly the kind of person you wanted in your corner when things got complicated. Maya, she said when she answered, I've been following the news. Congratulations again on the acquisition. Thanks. Listen, I need your advice on something. Of course. What's going on? My family is starting to panic about the media coverage. My father's business partner just called and implied they might try to pressure me into retracting my statements. Can they do that? No, but they might try to threaten legal action. Defamation, something like that. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Have you said anything untrue? No. Have you disclosed any private financial information about them? No. Then they don't have a case. Truth is an absolute defense against defamation. That's what I thought. But Maya, I have to ask, what's your endgame here? Are you trying to reconcile with them, or are you trying to make a point? I looked out the window of my hotel room. I don't know yet, I said honestly. Well, figure it out, because once you go down this road, it's hard to come back. I know. Good. Call me if anything escalates. We hung up. I sat there for a long time, thinking about Patricia's question. What was my endgame? I didn't want revenge, not really. I just wanted them to understand what they'd done, and I wanted to make sure it never happened again. Wednesday afternoon, exactly 1 week after I'd been kicked out, I got an email from my father. The subject line read, "Can we please talk?" I opened it. Maya. I know you're angry. I know I made a mistake, but this media circus is getting out of hand, and I think we need to sit down and talk. Just the two of us. No lawyers, no press, just a conversation. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm just asking you to hear me out. Please. Dad. I read it 3 times, and then I wrote back. Dad, I'll meet with you, but it has to be on my terms. Friday, 2 p.m. at the Rosewood Hotel in Menlo Park. Private dining room, just us. And if you try to ambush me with Mom or Brooke or anyone else, I'm walking out. Maya. He responded within 5 minutes. Agreed. See you Friday. I closed my laptop and took a deep breath. I had 2 days to prepare, and I was going to make sure I used them wisely. I spent Thursday preparing for Friday's meeting the way I used to prepare for investor pitches, methodically, strategically, with every possible outcome mapped out in advance. I made a list, not of things I wanted to say, but of things I needed my father to understand. There's a difference. Saying things makes you feel better. Making someone understand changes the dynamic. And I wanted to change the dynamic. I started by reviewing everything. Every family gathering where I'd been overlooked. Every achievement that had been met with polite indifference. Every time Brooke had taken priority over me without question. I didn't do this out of bitterness. I did it because I needed to see the pattern clearly. And once I saw it, really saw it, I realized something important. My family didn't dismiss me because they didn't love me. They dismissed me because they didn't think they had to pay attention to me. I was the stable one, the independent one, the one who didn't need anything. Brooke was the one who needed validation, attention, intervention. And my parents had spent so much energy managing her emotions that they'd completely stopped checking on mine. It wasn't malicious, it was just lazy. And I was done accommodating it. Thursday evening, I went shopping. I bought a navy suit, fitted, expensive, the kind of thing you wear when you want people to take you seriously. I got my hair cut and styled. I practiced my posture in the mirror. I wasn't dressing for my father. I was dressing for myself, because I needed to walk into that room feeling like exactly what I was, a woman who had built something extraordinary, with or without her family's support. That night, I barely slept. Not because I was nervous, because I was ready. Friday morning, I woke up at 6. I went for a run. I ate a proper breakfast. I answered emails from my team, reviewed documents from the acquisition, made calls to advisors. By noon, I was dressed and ready. By 1:30, I was in the Uber heading to Menlo Park. The Rosewood Hotel was the kind of place my father liked. Understated elegance, old money, the type of establishment where business deals were made over expensive whiskey and handshake agreements. I'd chosen it deliberately. I arrived at 1:50, 10 minutes early. The hostess led me to a private dining room on the second floor, small, quiet, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the courtyard. There was a table set for 2, water glasses already filled, a basket of bread in the center. I sat facing the door. At exactly 2:00 p.m., my father arrived. He looked older than I remembered. Or maybe I just hadn't looked at him closely in a while. His hair was grayer at the temples. There were lines around his eyes that hadn't been there a few years ago. He saw me and hesitated for just a moment. Then he came in and sat down. "Maya." "Dad." We stared at each other. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," he said finally. "You're welcome." A waiter appeared, asked if we wanted anything to drink. My father ordered scotch. I ordered sparkling water. Once the waiter left, my father leaned back in his chair. "I don't know where to start," he said. "Then let me start," I said. "I'm not here to yell at you. I'm not here to make you feel guilty. I'm here because you asked for a conversation and I'm willing to have one. But I need you to listen. Really listen. Can you do that?" He nodded slowly. "Good." I took a breath. "Do you remember 3 years ago, at Christmas, when I told you I was starting a company?" He frowned. Vaguely. "You said, 'That's nice, Maya,' and then you turned to Brooke and asked her about her sorority's charity event." He shifted in his seat. "I don't remember that specifically, but I'm not asking you to remember. I'm telling you what happened. And that moment, that exact moment, is when I realized something. I realized that no matter what I did, you were never going to see me the way you see Brooke." "That's not true." "Let me finish." My voice was calm, steady. I spent the next 3 years building something extraordinary. I worked 18-hour days. I pitched to investors who told me I was too young, too inexperienced, too ambitious. I built a platform that solved a real problem. I hired a team. I secured contracts with Fortune 500 companies. And I did all of it without asking you for help. Not because I didn't want your help, but because I knew you wouldn't offer it. Maya. And then, 2 weeks ago, I sold that company for $50 million. $50 million. And you didn't even know it existed. He looked down at his hands. "So when you kicked me out of your house last week because Brooke decided I would ruin Thanksgiving, it wasn't surprising. It was just confirmation of what I already knew. I don't matter to you, not in the way Brooke does." "That's not fair," he said quietly. isn't it? You were always so independent. You never needed us. I was independent because I had to be, because every time I tried to get your attention, Brooke was there, needing it more. He looked up at me. She's different than you. She's more fragile. She's not fragile, Dad. She's manipulative, and you enable it. His jaw tightened. Don't talk about your sister like that. Why not? It's the truth. Brooke has learned that if she cries or complains or throws a tantrum, you'll give her whatever she wants. And I've learned that if I succeed quietly, you won't notice. So I stopped expecting you to notice. Then why are we here? It was a good question. Because I wanted to give you a chance, I said. A chance to acknowledge what happened. A chance to apologize. A chance to be honest about the fact that you've treated me like an afterthought for most of my life. I never meant to. I don't care what you meant. I care what you did. He stared at me for a long moment. I'm sorry, he said finally. For what? For making you feel like you didn't matter. That's not good enough. He blinked. What? That's a non-apology, Dad. Making you feel like something isn't the same as acknowledging that you actually did it. Try again. He looked frustrated. Maya, I don't know what you want from me. I want you to say, I dismissed you. I chose Brooke over you. I didn't pay attention to your accomplishments. And I kicked you out of my house because I prioritized her comfort over your presence. I was wrong. The room was silent. My father's scotch arrived. He took a long drink. I was wrong, he said finally. I did those things. And I'm sorry. I felt something shift in my chest. It wasn't relief. It wasn't satisfaction. It was just acknowledgement. Thank you, I said. He nodded. But an apology isn't enough, I continued, because this isn't just about last week. This is about a lifetime of patterns, and if you really want to fix this, you're going to have to change. Not just say you'll change, actually change. How? You're going to have to start seeing me, Dad. Actually seeing me. Not as the daughter who doesn't need anything, not as the one who's always fine, but as a person who has feelings and accomplishments and a life that matters. And you're going to have to stop letting Brooke dictate how this family works. That's not fair to her. It's completely fair. She's 24 years old. She's not a child. And if she can't handle being in the same room as me without throwing a tantrum, that's something she needs to work on, not something you need to manage by excluding me. He was quiet for a long time. You're asking me to choose between my daughters. No, I said. I'm asking you to stop choosing one over the other by default. He finished his scotch. I don't know if I can do that, he said finally. And there it was. The truth. He couldn't promise to change because he didn't actually think he'd done anything wrong. I stood up. Then we're done here. Maya, wait. No. I gave you a chance. I told you exactly what I needed, and you just told me you can't give it to me. So we're done. Don't do this. I'm not doing anything, Dad. You are. You're choosing right now to stay exactly the way you've always been, and I'm choosing not to accept it anymore. So what? You're just going to cut us out of your life? I'm going to stop waiting for you to care. I picked up my purse. Maya, please. I looked at him one last time. I hope Brooke appreciates what she has, I said, because I'm done fighting for scraps of your attention. I walked out. I made it to the parking lot before my hands started shaking, not from sadness, from adrenaline. I'd done it. I'd said everything I needed to say, and I'd walked away. I sat in my Uber, staring out the window as we drove back to the city, and I felt lighter. Not happy. Not relieved. Just lighter. Like I'd been carrying something heavy for so long that I'd forgotten what it felt like to put it down. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Your father just called. He's upset. What happened? I didn't respond. Another text. 2 minutes later. Maya, please. We can fix this. Just come home and we'll talk. I turned my phone face down. When I got back to the hotel, I ordered room service, opened my laptop, and started working. I had investor calls scheduled for next week. I had meetings with the acquisition team. I had a life that didn't involve my family's drama. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like that was enough. Saturday morning, I woke up to an email from Patricia, my lawyer. Maya, I just got a call from a Richard Chen. He says he's your father's business partner. He's asking if you'd be willing to sign a non-disclosure agreement regarding your family situation in exchange for a goodwill payment. I told him to send me the details, but I wanted to check with you first. Are you interested? I read the email twice. A goodwill payment. They were trying to buy my silence. I called Patricia. How much are they offering? I asked. He didn't say a number. Just that your father is willing to compensate you for any distress caused by recent family disagreements, in exchange for you agreeing not to discuss your family publicly. I laughed. They want me to sign an NDA about my own life. Essentially, yes. What happens if I refuse? Nothing. They can't force you to sign anything. But Maya, I have to ask, are you planning to keep talking to the press? I don't know. I wasn't planning to, but now that they're trying to silence me, I'm tempted. Patricia sighed. Just be careful. The more public this gets, the harder it will be to walk back. I'm not interested in walking back. Then what are you interested in? I thought about it. I'm interested in making sure they understand they can't control me anymore. Okay, then here's my advice. Don't sign the NDA. Don't take their money. But also, don't go out of your way to make this worse. Let them sit with the consequences of their own actions. That's exactly what I'm doing. Good. Call me if anything changes. We hung up. I forwarded Richard's email to my father with a one-line response. Tell Richard the answer is no. Sunday afternoon, Brooke showed up at my hotel again. This time, I saw her from my window before the front desk called. She was standing on the sidewalk, pacing back and forth, her phone pressed to her ear. I almost didn't go down, but something made me. I found her in the lobby, sitting in the same chair my mother had sat in a week earlier. Brooke. She looked up. Her eyes were red. Maya, thank you for coming down. What do you want? Can we talk, please? I gestured toward the bar. We sat in the same booth I'd sat in with my mother. Brooke ordered a glass of wine. I ordered coffee. Dad told me what happened on Friday, she said. Of course he did. He said you're cutting us off. I'm not cutting anyone off. I'm just done pretending everything is fine when it's not. But we're family. Are we? She flinched. What's that supposed to mean? It means that family isn't just biology, Brooke. It's showing up. It's caring. It's making an effort. And you've never made an effort with me. That's not true. When was the last time you called me just to talk? Not because you needed something, not because there was some family drama. Just to talk. She opened her mouth, closed it. You can't remember, I said, because it's never happened. I've been busy. So have I, but I still would have picked up the phone. She looked down at her wine glass. I didn't realize you felt this way. Well, because you never asked. I'm asking now. It's too late, Brooke. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. You've spent your entire life being the center of attention, and I've spent mine in the shadows, and I'm done with it. So what, you're just going to disappear? Never talk to us again? I don't know yet. Maybe. Her eyes filled with tears. You can't do that. Why not? Because you're my sister. And you're mine. But that didn't stop you from getting me kicked out of our parents' house. I didn't mean... You never mean it, Brooke, but you keep doing it anyway. She wiped her eyes. What do you want from me? It was the second time someone in my family had asked me that question this week, and I still didn't have a good answer. I want you to grow up, I said finally. I want you to stop expecting everyone to cater to your feelings. I want you to take responsibility for your actions. And I want you to understand that the world doesn't revolve around you. That's not fair. It's completely fair. You're 24 years old, Brooke. You're not a kid anymore. And it's time you started acting like it. She stared at me for a long moment. You've changed, she said quietly. No, I've just stopped hiding who I am to make you comfortable. She stood up. Fine. If that's how you feel, then I guess there's nothing else to say. I guess not. She grabbed her purse and walked toward the door. Then she stopped and turned back. You know what your problem is, Maya. You think you're better than everyone. You think because you made all this money, you're somehow above us. But you're not. You're just angry and bitter and alone. I looked at her. Maybe, I said. But at least I'm not pretending anymore. She left. And this time, I didn't feel lighter. I just felt tired. Monday morning, I checked out of the hotel. I'd been there for 9 days. 9 days of room service and hotel sheets and avoiding my family. It was time to go home. I'd kept my apartment in Seattle when I sold the company, a 2-bedroom loft in Capitol Hill with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the city. It was quiet. It was mine. And I needed it. I booked a flight for Tuesday morning, packed my suitcase, returned a few final emails. And then, Monday evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered. Maya Reyes? Speaking. Hi, this is Amanda Keller from Forbes. I'm working on a feature about the most successful women entrepreneurs of the year, and I'd love to include you. Do you have time for an interview? I hesitated. This was it. This was the moment where I could either step fully into the spotlight or retreat back into anonymity. Yes, I said finally. I have time. We talked for an hour. She asked about the company, the acquisition, my plans for the future, and then she asked about my family. I read the Chronicle piece, she said. It was very honest. Do you regret being so open about your family dynamics? No, I said. I don't. Why not? Because I spent my whole life keeping quiet about how I felt to avoid making people uncomfortable, and I'm done with that. Even if it costs you your relationship with your family? I looked out the window of my hotel room one last time. Especially if it costs me that, I said. The article went live Tuesday afternoon, an hour after my plane landed in Seattle. By Tuesday evening, it had been shared 10,000 times. By Wednesday morning, I was trending on social media, and by Wednesday afternoon, my father called. I didn't answer, but he left a voicemail. Maya, it's Dad. I just read the Forbes article. I don't know what to say. I'm not angry. I'm trying to understand. Please call me back. We need to talk. I love you. I listened to it 3 times, and then I deleted it. Because I was done waiting for my family to see me. I was going to live my life, and if they wanted to be part of it, they were going to have to earn it. I spent the first week back in Seattle doing absolutely nothing related to my family. I went to the gym. I met with my financial advisor to discuss investment strategies for the acquisition payout. I had dinner with members of my former team who wanted to celebrate the sale properly. I bought new furniture for my apartment, a sectional couch in charcoal gray, a dining table made from reclaimed wood, art for the walls that actually meant something to me. I was building a life that looked like mine, not like what I thought my family wanted it to look like, and it felt good. The Forbes article had generated more attention than I'd anticipated. I received interview requests from 3 podcasts, 2 morning shows, and a business publication in London. My LinkedIn was flooded with connection requests. I even got a few messages from venture capitalists asking if I was interested in advising their portfolio companies. For the first time in my life, people were paying attention, not because of who my family was, but because of what I'd built. On Thursday afternoon, exactly 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, I was sitting in a coffee shop near my apartment when my phone rang. My mother. I stared at her name on the screen. I'd been avoiding her calls for days, but something made me answer this time. Hello? Maya. Her voice was shaky. Thank you for picking up. What do you want, Mom? I want to talk. Please just... Can we talk? I looked out the window at the Seattle drizzle. Okay, I said. Talk. There was a long pause. I read the Forbes article, she said finally. And I didn't realize how much we'd hurt you. I almost laughed. You didn't realize? Mom, I told you. I told Dad. I told Brooke. I've been telling you for years, but none of you were listening. I know, and I'm so sorry. I don't have an excuse. We got so used to you being okay that we stopped checking if you actually were. That's not good enough. I know it's not. But Maya, you have to understand. No, I don't have to understand anything. You have to understand. You have to understand that you had 2 daughters, and you only paid attention to one of them. And now you're upset because the one you ignored doesn't want to play along anymore. She was crying now. I could hear it in her breathing. What can I do? She asked. How can I fix this? I don't know if you can. Don't say that, please, Maya. You're my daughter. I love you. Do you? Because love isn't just a feeling, Mom. It's action. It's showing up. It's paying attention. And you haven't done any of those things. I want to fix this. Then you need to figure out how. Because I'm done doing the work for you. I hung up. My hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't adrenaline. It was grief. Because a part of me, a small, stubborn part, had wanted her to have the right answer, had wanted her to say something that would make everything okay. But she didn't. Because there wasn't a right answer. Some things couldn't be fixed with an apology. That weekend, something unexpected happened. I got a text from someone I hadn't heard from in almost a decade. Maya, it's Claire. Claire Montgomery from MIT. I saw your Forbes article. I had no idea you'd built something so incredible. Congratulations. If you're ever free, I'd love to catch up. Claire. We'd been roommates freshman year. She'd studied electrical engineering while I focused on computer science. We'd stayed up late studying, gotten coffee between classes, complained about problem sets and professors and the brutal Boston winters. And then, somewhere around sophomore year, we'd drifted apart. Not because of any fight or falling out, just because life got busy and we let it. I stared at her message for a long moment, then I typed back, Claire. Wow. Yes, I'd love to catch up. Are you still in Boston? Her response came 30 seconds later. Actually, I'm in Seattle now. I moved here 3 years ago for work, Boeing. Want to grab coffee this week? We met Tuesday afternoon at a cafe on Capitol Hill. I recognized her immediately. Same curly red hair, same quick smile, same energy that had made her impossible not to like in college. She hugged me when she saw me. Maya. God, it's been forever. I know, too long. We sat down with our drinks, lattes for both of us, and for a few minutes we just caught up on the basics. Her job at Boeing, my company and the acquisition, the fact that we'd both somehow ended up in Seattle without realizing it. And then she said something that caught me off guard. I read the Forbes article, the whole thing, and I wanted to reach out because I remember what you were like in college. You were always so driven, so focused, but you also always seemed like you were trying to prove something. I never understood it back then, but after reading about your family, it made sense. I looked down at my coffee. I'm sorry, she said quickly. That's probably too personal. No, it's fine. You're right. I was trying to prove something. I still am, I guess. To them? To myself. She nodded slowly. Do you feel like you have? Proved it, I mean. I thought about it. Yeah, I said finally. I think I have. Then what happens now? It was a good question. I don't know, I said honestly. I think I just move forward, build something new, figure out who I am when I'm not trying to earn anyone's approval. Claire smiled. That sounds pretty great, actually. It does, doesn't it? We talked for 2 more hours. By the time we left, we'd exchanged numbers and made plans to get dinner the following week. And as I walked back to my apartment, I realized something. I'd been so focused on what I'd lost, my family's attention, their approval, the relationship I'd always wanted with them, that I'd forgotten about what I'd gained. Freedom. The freedom to build my own life, to choose my own relationships, to define success on my own terms. And that freedom was worth everything. 2 days later, on Thursday morning, I got an email that changed everything. It was from my father. The subject line read, "Please read this." I opened it. Maya, I've spent the last 2 weeks thinking about everything you said at the Rosewood. I've read the Forbes article at least 10 times. I've talked to your mother. I've talked to Brooke, and I've come to a conclusion. You're right, about all of it. I dismissed you. I prioritized Brooke's needs over yours. I took you for granted. And when you needed me to show up for you, I didn't. I chose the easy path, keeping the peace, instead of the right path, which was supporting you. I don't have an excuse. I just have regret. I know an apology isn't enough. You told me that, and you were right about that too. But I want you to know that I'm trying to change. I've started seeing a therapist. Your mother and I both have. We're working on understanding why we built the family dynamics we did, and how to do better. I'm also working on my relationship with Brooke. I've told her that she needs to take responsibility for her actions, and that I'm not going to enable her behavior anymore. She didn't take it well, but I'm holding firm. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to come back into our lives like nothing happened. But I want you to know that I see you now. I see what you've built. I see how strong you are. And I'm incredibly proud of you. I'm sorry I didn't tell you that sooner. I'm sorry I didn't tell you that every single day. If you're willing, I'd like to try again. Not to go back to how things were, but to build something new, something better. But I understand if you're not ready, or if you never are. I love you, Maya. I always have. I just didn't know how to show it. Dad. I read the email 4 times, and then I closed my laptop and walked away. Because I didn't know what to feel. Part of me wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe that people could change. That families could heal. That maybe, just maybe, things could be different. But another part of me was tired. Tired of hoping. Tired of waiting. Tired of giving people chances they hadn't earned. I spent the rest of the day thinking about it. And by evening, I'd made a decision. I called my father at 7 o'clock. He answered on the first ring. Maya. Hi, Dad. You got my email. I did. There was a pause. What do you think? He asked quietly. I think it's a good start. A start? Yeah, you said the right things. But Dad, I need more than words. I need to see that you're actually changing. Not just with me, with Brooke, with Mom, with yourself. I understand. Do you? Because this isn't about grand gestures or big apologies. It's about the small things. Calling me. Asking about my life. Actually listening when I answer. Showing up. Not just when it's convenient, but consistently. I can do that. Can you? Because if you can't, I'd rather know now. I can, he said, and his voice was steady. I promise, Maya, I can. I believed him. Not completely. Not yet. But enough to take the next step. Okay, I said. Here's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to talk. Regularly. But I'm not coming home for Christmas. I'm not pretending everything is fine. And I'm not rushing this. I don't expect you to. Good. Because I need time. And I need space. and I need to see real change before I'm willing to let you back in fully. That's fair. And one more thing. Anything. Brooke needs to apologize. A real apology. Not just, I'm sorry you felt that way. An actual acknowledgement of what she did and why it was wrong. He was quiet for a moment. I'll talk to her, he said finally. Don't talk to her, Dad. Tell her. This isn't optional. If she wants a relationship with me, she needs to earn it. Okay, I'll tell her. Good. We sat in silence for a moment. Maya? Yeah? Thank you. For giving me another chance. Don't thank me yet, I said. I haven't decided if this is going to work. I know, but I'm grateful anyway. We hung up, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something shift. Not hope exactly, but possibility. The next morning, I got a text from Brooke. Dad says you want me to apologize. I typed back immediately. I don't want you to do anything. If you're only apologizing because Dad told you to, don't bother. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I want to talk. Can I call you? No, if you have something to say it in writing. I want to be able to read it when I'm ready. The dots appeared again. This time they stayed. 5 minutes later, a long text came through. Maya, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for getting you kicked out on Thanksgiving. I'm sorry for always making everything about me. I'm sorry for never asking about your life or caring about what you were doing. I'm sorry for being selfish and immature and treating you like you didn't matter. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about how I expect everyone to cater to my feelings. And you're right. I do. I always have. And I never realized how much that hurt you. I don't have a good excuse. I just got used to being the center of attention, and I never thought about what that meant for you. I never thought about how lonely it must have been to always be pushed aside. I know an apology isn't enough, and I know you might never forgive me, but I want you to know that I'm trying to be better. I'm seeing a therapist too, and I'm working on understanding why I am the way I am and how to change it. I miss you, Maya. I miss having a sister, and I know that's my fault. But if you're willing to give me a chance, not now, but maybe someday, I'd really like to try to fix this. I'm sorry for all of it. I read the text 3 times, and then I wrote back. Thank you for saying that. I'm not ready to talk yet, but I appreciate the apology. Keep working on yourself, and maybe eventually we'll figure this out. She responded immediately. Okay, I'll wait. I love you, Maya. I stared at those last 3 words for a long time. Finally, I typed back. I love you too. And I meant it, even if I wasn't ready to let her back in yet. Christmas came and went. I spent it in Seattle with Claire. We cooked dinner together, salmon, roasted vegetables, a lemon tart that took 3 attempts to get right. We drank wine and watched terrible holiday movies and laughed until our sides hurt. It was the best Christmas I'd had in years. My family sent texts. My mother sent a long, heartfelt message about how much she missed me. My father sent a photo of the 3 of them at the dinner table with an empty chair and the caption, "Wish you were here." Brooke sent a selfie with the tree and wrote, "Merry Christmas, sis. Thinking of you." I responded to all of them politely, but I didn't call. I wasn't ready yet. January arrived quietly. I started advising a few startups. I took on consulting work with 2 mid-sized tech companies who wanted help optimizing their logistics platforms. I reconnected with old colleagues and made new friends. And slowly, carefully, I started talking to my family again. My father called once a week. We kept the conversations short, updates on his work, questions about mine, small talk about Seattle weather and Bay Area traffic. But he was showing up, consistently. My mother sent emails, long, thoughtful messages about what she was learning in therapy, about memories from my childhood, about things she wished she'd done differently. I read every one. Brooke and I texted occasionally, nothing deep, just small things. A funny meme, a photo of a coffee she thought I'd like, updates about school. It wasn't much, but it was something. In March, 3 months after Thanksgiving, my father asked if he could visit Seattle. "Just me," he wrote. "Just for a day. I'd like to see where you live, meet you on your turf." I thought about it for a week, and then I said yes. He flew up on a Saturday. I met him at a restaurant near Pike Place Market, neutral ground, public, with an exit strategy if I needed one. But I didn't need one. We had lunch, we talked. He asked about my work, my apartment, my plans for the future, and he listened, really listened. At one point, he said, "I'm proud of you, Maya. I know I didn't say it enough before, but I'm saying it now. I'm incredibly proud of who you are and what you've built." I felt something crack open in my chest. "Thank you," I said quietly. "I mean it. You did this all on your own. You didn't need us. And I'm sorry we made you feel like you had to do it alone." "I did need you," I said. "I just learned to live without you." He nodded. "I know. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to earn back what I lost." After lunch, I showed him my apartment. He stood in the living room, looking out at the view of the city, and said, "This is really beautiful, Maya. You've built a good life here." "I have." He turned to look at me. "Are you happy?" It was a simple question, but the answer was complicated. "I'm getting there," I said, and it was the truth. Spring turned to summer. My relationship with my family improved slowly. There were good days and bad days, moments of progress and moments of regression. But there was effort. Real, consistent effort. My father called every Sunday. My mother and I had lunch over video chat once a month. Brooke and I texted more frequently, and eventually we started having actual conversations again. In June, they invited me to a family dinner in Palo Alto. I said no, but in July, when my father asked again, I said yes. I flew down for the weekend. I stayed in a hotel. I set boundaries and expectations. And when I walked into their house for the first time in 8 months, my mother hugged me and cried. My father shook my hand and then pulled me into a hug too. And Brooke stood there awkwardly for a moment before saying, "I'm really glad you're here." "Me too," I said. And I meant it. Dinner was good. Not perfect. There were awkward moments and uncomfortable silences in subjects we carefully avoided. But there was also laughter, and effort, and something that felt like the beginning of healing. A year after Thanksgiving, I was sitting in my apartment in Seattle when my phone rang. It was my father. "Maya, I have a question." "Okay." "Your mother and I are planning a trip to Seattle in November. We were thinking we'd come up for Thanksgiving, if you're comfortable with that." I looked out the window at the city below me. "Yeah," I said. "I'd like that." "Really?" "Really." "Can we bring Brooke?" I hesitated. "Yes," I said finally. "You can bring Brooke." "Thank you, Maya. This means a lot to us." "It means a lot to me too, Dad." We hung up, and I sat there for a long time, thinking about the last year, about everything I'd lost and everything I'd gained. I'd lost the version of my family I'd always wanted, the one where I was seen and valued from the beginning. But I'd gained something better. I'd gained myself. I'd gained the knowledge that I didn't need their approval to be successful, that I didn't need their attention to be worthy, that I could build a life I loved with or without them. And I'd gained the possibility of a new relationship with them, one built on honesty and effort and mutual respect. It wasn't the fairy tale ending, but it was real, and that was enough. Thanksgiving arrived. My family came to Seattle. We had dinner in my apartment, turkey and stuffing and all the traditional dishes, cooked together in my kitchen. We talked, we laughed, we told stories, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I was actually part of the family. Not because I'd changed, but because they had. After dinner, my father pulled me aside. "Maya, I want you to know something." "What?" "I'm proud of you. Not because of the company or the money or any of that. I'm proud of you because you stood up for yourself. You didn't let us treat you badly just because we were family. You demanded better. And that took courage." I felt tears prick my eyes. "Thank you, Dad. No, thank you for giving us another chance, for teaching us how to be better, for not giving up on us even when we gave you every reason to." He hugged me, and for the first time in a very long time, I hugged him back. Later that night, after everyone had gone to their hotels, I sat on my couch with a glass of wine and looked out at the Seattle skyline. I thought about the girl I'd been a year ago, the one who'd been kicked out of her parents' house the night before Thanksgiving, the one who'd been so desperate for their approval that she'd spent her whole life chasing it. She was gone now, and in her place was someone stronger, someone who knew her worth, someone who didn't need anyone else's validation to feel complete. I picked up my phone and opened my notes app, and I wrote, "1 year ago, my father chose my sister over me. He kicked me out of his house because I made her uncomfortable. And in that moment, I realized something. I realized that I'd spent my entire life waiting for him to see me, waiting for him to be proud of me, waiting for him to choose me. But I don't have to wait anymore. Because I choose myself. I choose my own happiness, my own success, my own peace. And if my family wants to be part of that, they're welcome. But only if they earn it." I saved the note. And then I smiled, because I'd done it. I'd built a life worth living, and no one could take that away from me. If you're reading this and you've ever felt invisible in your own family, know this: your worth isn't determined by whether they see you. It's determined by what you build when they're not looking. Stand up for yourself, set boundaries, demand better, and if they can't give it to you, walk away. Because you deserve to be seen. You deserve to be valued. You deserve to be loved for exactly who you are. And if your family can't do that, find people who will. Your life is yours. Don't waste it waiting for permission to live it.